Hello from a really rainy spring afternoon in New Zealand. It's Melissa here and I'm back with my first layout for Clique's design team, and there's a quick look at my layout. Now I prepared my background paper off camera because I needed some time for that paint to dry. So I used the pink paint dabber that comes as an add-on, and you can find that in the Clique store. And then I trimmed my paper down and I matted it on that Pink Fresh Studio paper, and I gutted a lot of the inside of that paper so I can use it for another project. Now, if you watch my videos regularly, you'll know that I love my photos to be matted in white with a white background. So I'm just using a piece of white cardstock here, and sometimes I use my trimmer and other times I use my scissors. It depends on how I'm feeling really, and on this day I must have wanted pretty straight uniform lines, so I used my paper trimmer. Now, I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do with this layout, and I really had to when it came to where to put the paint. So I knew I wanted to do like an L-shaped design and then use some papers on top of that paint. So I just went through the kit and decided which papers were going to work best. Now, I didn't pre-plan anything more than that, so what you see here is me deciding what paper to use, how to cut it, and how thick to make it. And I loved this piece of paper with the triangles on it. I loved the wood grain, and I also loved the background, so you just see me mucking around deciding what side to use. This is a piece that had the stars on it, and it's like star confetti. It's just really, really beautiful. And I'm using, I think it was the bottom half, or the other half of the paper that didn't have the stars, and it's a lovely teal colour. And then I need an element to ground my photos at the bottom, so I'm just having a look and deciding what to use. And you would have seen there the other piece of paper that I gutted out. And here I'm just trimming off the branding strip on the bottom of that paper. I found this kit is just so beautiful, and there are wonderful papers that you could use as full backgrounds, but with this one I knew I wanted to sacrifice it and fussy cut out those balloons and put them on this layout. And I'll probably, well definitely, fussy cut out the balloons that are left and use them on another layout as well. So here I do a rough cut first, and then I come in closer and do a better cut, especially in areas that are a bit more tricky, like the strings and the bows. And I've realised at this point that that paper is too thick. I don't want it to look exactly the same as the other in terms of width. So I think I'm happy with that at this point. Now these photos are really super cute. Well, of course I'm going to say that because it's my little darling, but my older two had gotten their scooters and decided to go for a quick scooter ride just in our front driveway. And so, of course, our youngest, her name's Brielle, she wanted to have a turn as well. So we went, well, my husband went upstairs into this attic thing that's above our garage and came down with this plastic bike that the other two had used when they were a similar age. And so she was really super keen to get on there. And the thing is that she can't bike. Well, she can now, but at this stage she didn't know how to use it and wasn't quite that steady on her feet. She hadn't been walking that long, so my husband was just holding it in the back just so I could take a photo for the scrapbook, of course. But anyway, she thinks that she's riding it, and he held her and pushed her around, and to the point where she probably cried a lot because she didn't want to get off. So she had fun. But I wanted to scrapbook the memory because it was the first time she'd sat on this little bike by herself, or with a little bit of support. And you can see his hand behind her in the photo. So here I decided to cut them into banners, and that's something I've been doing a lot lately. I love the look of banners, and I did consider having them slightly, I guess, fantailing out, but it didn't look quite right to me. So I've gone with them just straight down, and then I wanted to stagger the heights of them. So that's what I've done there. Now, if you can hear it in the background, we're having a kind of a hailstorm at the moment with the gale force winds, so it's typical spring weather, and we were forecast to have snow, but I don't think that's going to happen now. Well, it may happen on the mountains, but not down at the level where we live anyway. So if you can hear all that noise, that's what it is. So now I am gluing down these, well, not gluing, adhering, I guess, adhering these bits of paper, and I love that piece with the different shapes, and it looks like a whole lot of borders going across it. And I cut a strip of that, and I love it because it's black and white, and it just provides a bit of interest and a bit of difference on this page. So once I've got them down, I'm adding a little bit more double-sided tape, and often I find that if I position things and they look right, I'm really hesitant to move them, so I'll go ahead and leave them where they are and then get the tape underneath. So I did think I'd have to use liquid glue on top of the paint, and it's acrylic paint, but I found that this double-sided tape works fine. So at this stage I know that I don't want that piece to go all the way across, but I'm going to leave it there anyway, and I'll get my photos down and then I'll decide what I do. So this is a piece of that lovely paper with all the triangles on it, and I often like to design in threes when it comes to elements, and at this point I can't remember whether I leave that there or not, but I think that I want it there. And then I realise that no, in this instance I don't need 3, I can add it to the bottom and go for 2 lots of 2. So that's what I'm doing there. And it was just because I hadn't pre-planned, and I don't really often pre-plan that much. I have an idea in my head of what I want to do, and it might just be a starting point, and I go from there. So now I'm working out the position of these photos, and I'm trying to decide whether I want them on top of that strip of paper or below. So I just play around with deciding. But I do know that I don't want them straight, and I want them slightly offset from each other. I want the balloons tucked behind her. And now, because I've got everything down in kind of the positions I want, I'm brave enough to trim off the end or the excess of that black and white strip. And I know that I do like the way one photo is tucked in, so I'm just wanting to slightly skew it. And once again, because I'm happy with that position, I don't want to lift it up, because then I'm literally starting again with trying to work out where to put it. So I'm going ahead and committing to it. And with this one, I'm only putting double-sided tape on the bottom, and that gives me a bit of freedom, I guess, to decide what to do with above and next to that photo. And I can also get my balloons into position. So I'm happy with that photo position there, so I can commit by sticking the top down. And now I'm just looking at those balloons. Now I did consider pop dotting behind them, and wasn't really sure. And I did have this piece of vellum, and it comes in your kit, and it's so gorgeous. It's got gold triangles on it, and I'd used it on something else but wasn't happy with it, and so I just lifted it off. And I don't like to waste anything really, if you know me, I keep everything. So I just cut off the areas that had adhesive on them, and I've added some tape, and I'm just tucking it behind the photos and also behind that teal paper. And you can just lift up anything you've glued down and quickly if it hasn't been that long, and then just reposition. So all the while I was thinking about these balloons and whether I wanted to put the pop dots behind them. I also had this little piece that I'd cut off the end, and I thought that would be perfect to use the other side. It's got little bow ties which are really, really cute, and I've just tucked that in underneath the photo and underneath my layers. So what I was doing there, it looked uneven to me, so I just used a piece of the backing of the double-sided tape and my fingernail, and I just measured the distance to the bottom and just checked both sides, and it's even, which is surprising for me. I really want to get one of those, are they T-square rulers? The rulers that allow you to position against the side of the layout and get everything straight. I think that'd be a great addition, and I keep remembering and then I keep forgetting, so I really do need to look for one. So I've added Tombow behind the strings, and I'm just putting my stapler down just to hold it down so it will dry. And now I'm using some pop dots, and I'm using the scrap bit that comes around the pop dots just to lift up that photo. and I like that it gives a little bit of separation between the vellum and the strings to the balloons. Now, I did consider using these letter stickers, and they're also from Pink Fresh Studio, and they are really, really beautiful with the gold. And I was going to call this layout Almost Writing, but I realised that it would use up too many eyes, and I didn't want to do that. So I'm just showing you. I mean, I could have cut that out, but I wanted you to see my thought process there. So no, I'm going to save them for another layout. And there's a fine balance. I find there's a fine balance between hoarding and using, but I know for sure that because they're a vowel, I don't want to use them. These puffy stickers are so super cute, and so are these little rubber charms from Pink Fresh Studio, so I'm putting that one at the bottom there, and I quite like the way it bridges the gap between the photos. These wood veneers are absolutely just gorgeous. I love that they're adhesive, so you don't have to fuss around with gluing them down. And now I'm going through just the bits and pieces that I have. I've cut apart the cut apart sheet. I also got some extras, some add-ons, and if you look at my kit unboxing video, you'll be able to see exactly what I got. That's another cut apart from the cut apart sheet. The exclusives are so good with Clique kits. I just love how everything is designed to match the collection that we're working with. So at this point, I decided to use Dream Big as my title, and those are puffy stickers, because I can relate it to the fact that she would want to bike, and this is the start, and she can dream of a distant time. Listen to me, I'm all thinking of Star Wars. She can dream of a time that, in the near distant future, which is actually now, that she can ride that bike herself. So when I saw these add-ons, which are the little letter stickers, oh my goodness, I had to have them. I just love the font. I love that you get, I think, 5 different colours. And I wanted a little subtitle to go at the bottom, and I thought it's kind of monochromatic, almost tone on tone, and just to have on that, I guess it's white space, and because everything else is covered quite evenly when it comes to that acrylic paint, I thought that little subtitle could fit perfectly at the bottom, and I've decided to go with the little subtitle Nearly Biking, because she is nearly biking. And I know that in the future, when I look back at her album, I don't want to look at that photo and look at the date and think, oh, okay, she was riding a bike then. And so it's really important for me to, when I do my pages, to get the facts right and to tell the story. And what you'll find with me is that I journal on probably 99.9% of my pages. And that's because I want to tell the story behind the photo. And when I don't journal on a page, it's usually because it's a cover page. So I'm nearly done now. I'm just adding a B for Brielle, that's her name. And I'm really inspired by Maggie Holmes, who puts her children's initials on pretty much every layout she makes. And now I'm adding my journaling. And I'm using a Project Life pen. I've just drawn some rough lines. And I find that it works. It writes really well on top of that paint, and I love the look. So I'm just explaining there that she's nearly biking, and it's exciting for her to be on her bike with her siblings. And what I'd rather do is do less lines and add more, so I don't end up with an extra line and not enough journaling to fill it. So that's nearly done. I think I'm just about to come in with some gold Heidi Swap. Nearly all my layouts have to have colour shine on them lately. I just love the look that it gives. I love the sparkle. And either that or Indian ink. Sometimes I do both. I did consider putting a tassel on, but that's another add-on. I've decided to save that for another layout. And you get some tassels in your kit as well. There I go with my mist. I don't overthink it. I just drop it on in the areas that I want. And I'm being pretty brave there, and I'm not even covering my photos. So that's pretty much the final layout done. Here's a final shot, and I've got some close-ups. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so excited about designing for Clique kits, and I'll be back again really soon with some more videos of layouts to show you. I'll be back again soon. Bye.